It is Friday, August 2nd, 2024. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, intern Tommy along for the ride as well. You're repping the company today. Is that a John Boy Media t-shirt? I haven't seen
It
that
is,
one before.
Chris. You haven't seen this one? It's a
I don't think so.
beautiful, I think it's green. I get my greens and my grays mixed up a lot, but I think it's green.
Huh.
And it brings out my eyes, so that's why I wear it.
Oh, what color are your eyes?
Green, Chris.
Hazel?
I don't know. I think just green.
Just green. I think mine are officially hazel on the, on the driver's license. You got to
Okay,
put something.
Driver's license, mine are green.
Okay, good.
Brown hair, green eyes.
Brown hair.
Yeah.
Can you prove that real quick? Just take that. Is that brown? Yeah, I guess that is brown.
What color hair do you think I have?
I always thought it was black.
What? Dude, I'm French. I'm not Italian.
You are French.
Yeah.
Plouffe. All right, we got a lot to get to in the baseball world. We normally start with a tip of the cap. Today, we're going to go a slightly different direction. For those of you that have been paying attention over the last several days, Freddie Freeman has not been in the Dodgers lineup, and that's because he's been on the family emergency list. And we found out a little bit more in recent days, and thankfully on Thursday, the Freeman family announced fairly good news on their 3-year-old son, Maximus. He's been ill with a rare neurological disorder. It was so bad, he eventually was excavated from a breathing tube and a ventilator. You don't have to have kids to know what sort of frightening situation this is. And Freddie Freeman is a guy who prides himself on posting every day, and it's something that he has done throughout his entire career. So when he took off because of this, you knew something was going on here. We're just thankful, the entire baseball community, that there is some good news. And so we just want to let the Freeman family know we were thinking of Maximus and their entire family.
Absolutely. I can't imagine a worse situation, as a parent to be in. So they need all the thoughts. They do need all the prayers, real prayers for the Freeman family. I'm sending everything I got their way.
Yep. Hopefully we see Freddie back on the field, and that would mean good things for the Freeman family. Staying in Southern California, news down the road, down the 5 freeway in Anaheim. Not good for Mike Trout. He is done for the year. 3-time MVP suffered a tear of his surgically repaired meniscus in his knee. Here is the Angels GM, Perry Manassian.
It's tough. Obviously, really emotional for him, for us as a group. He's someone that nobody cares about this team more than him. And nobody cares about this building. Nobody cares more about this fan base. Nobody wants to win more than he does. So, obviously, the news is really disappointing. I think he's going to come back. He's going to hit 70 home runs and win the MVP. And I believe that.
How crushing is this for the sport, in your opinion?
Oh, man. First of all, I feel horrible for Mike because he is one of the faces of the league. He's one of, if not, he's one of the best players we've ever seen play this sport. And to have that ability taken away from you from some injuries is difficult. I've spoken many times on this show about, my mental health. Like, typically never really had any problems mentally. Like, I'm pretty strong, confident dude, but the times where I was at my darkest was when I was injured and I didn't have the ability to do what I thought, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. This is like what I've done. This is what I've trained for. Everything like gets taken away from you. You get to a dark place. So I really, again, just hope that Mike can get through all this, get back on the field, because seeing him on the field is obviously amazing for every single one of us baseball fans. I will say this. How crushing is it for baseball? The game goes on, man. And I think that's another thing that you think about when you're on the IL. You start to think about like your mortality, if you will, where it's like the game goes on. Like, no matter what, when you stop playing, you think about that as well. Like, are people going to miss me? It's like, yeah, I guess. But then the game moves on. There's more stars coming. Bobby Witt Jr.'s here. Shohei Ohtani's here. Aaron Judge is here. Like, the game goes on. And you really, like, for Trout, he's just thinking, I am amongst those guys. I want to be out there performing on the field with those guys. But for the game of baseball, I mean, yeah, it stinks. I'm not trying to like underplay the situation at all. And I don't mean to be, I hope this isn't coming off the wrong way, but we've seen guys. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr.'s career,
Mhm.
was shorter than it should be. Kirby Puckett, Tony Oliva. We've seen this time and time again, and the game just kind of goes on. So I don't know if it's crushing for baseball, Chris, but it definitely sucks for baseball fans, and it sucks for Mike. And again, I just wish him well. And I believe what Perry said. I believe he is going to come back and have a monstrous season. I picked him to win the MVP this year, and he was on pace early on, where it looked like he was going to. So I wish him the best, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it starts with his statement. In the middle of it, he said, "Playing and competing is a huge part of my life. This is equally as heartbreaking and frustrating for me as it is for you, the fans. I understand that I may have disappointed many, but believe me, I will do everything I can to come back even stronger." I mean, what I would say to that, you didn't disappoint anybody.
No,
Your
he
health,
didn't.
your
No.
health is your health. It wasn't like you didn't take care of yourself and you were out. I mean, you got injured. It happens all the time. Now, where I would say is that it hurts the sport is in the discussion phase. This is the sport where we say, okay, we're making our list of the 5 greatest players ever, and we go back to the 1920s to pick up one. You don't do that in other sports. I mean, it's all the most recent guys. Like in the NBA circles, like the furthest they go back is Magic and Bird, and
Yeah.
that's 40 to 45 years. We're not talking about a full century. That is the beauty of baseball. And now it's going to be, how do we remember Mike Trout? Because we feel like there's no way, even though he's only going to be 33 in a week, that there's no way he's going to get back to the 3-time MVP form. Like Bryce Harper, who's in his age group, is still at the top of his game. And I think we're all going to be surprised if Mike Trout's able to get there. That's the disappointing thing, I would say.
I don't know if I'm going to be surprised, Chris. He still has 5 years left on his contract, so 5 years to like get, and he's shown when he's on the field like he's of that ilk. So it is about staying on the field. I understand that's the problem here, is if he can do that, because he hasn't really done it since 2021 or since 2020. I guess you can count. He played 53 of 60 games there,
Right.
but yeah, it's you feel for him because he is a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. If it stopped right now, he's a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about it. But to be mentioned, like you said, amongst like the elite of the game, the top 5 players ever, there needs to be a little bit more longevity, I think.
Oh, yeah, a lot more. In fact, we put out on one of our social media handles that since 2021, he has averaged playing less than 70 games per year. In the games in which he does play, his OPS is over 950, and he averages 46 homers per 162 games played. So, yes, you are right. He is putting up the numbers. To me, the most telling thing about the Mike Trout discussion was, remember down in Arlington when we did those little lists? I think you were giving me the one where the active players who are most likely to make the Hall of Fame, right? We did that list together, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay, number 1 on the list was Mike Trout. It wasn't that he was on the list. It was the comments that people were making saying, "Oh, Mike Trout's not a Hall of Famer. He's
Crazy.
nowhere close." Now, I know that sometimes people just say shit to say it. But I think that people, because he's been out of sight, out of mind for pretty much the last 4 years, like, it's almost like that feels like it was so long ago that Mike Trout was great.
I mean,
That's rough.
I don't know, like the Yankees back in the day, but get rid of Barry Bonds. Like, don't think about him. Who else has been on a run of MVP 2, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 5?
I would say Pujols is probably the only guy.
And it's a run like that is Hall of Fame.
Yep. But I just hope that, like, he's 122 homers shy of 500.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does he get to 500, Chris? He's got 5 more years. I mean, it's essentially averaging around 25 homers a year.
God, I hope so.
I think so. I think he gets there because I do think, like Perry said, I think he comes out. I think there's still a couple massive years left in Mike Trout.
I want him to be right. I want him to be right because he's just the guy. I think there's not one person who's like, yeah, I don't like Mike Trout. No, that doesn't happen. Hang in there, bro. That's all I can say. Braves took the opener of a 4-game set with Miami. Have you looked at the NL East standings? They are just 6 back of Philly, which starts a West Coast swing in Seattle on Friday. Phillies, you may have noticed, just got swept at home by New York. They lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland. In fact, they haven't won a series since the All-Star break. Harp, what's going on?
I could say that we haven't really been playing good baseball on both sides of the ball. Guys on base, things like that. Pretty sloppy as well. So, I mean, I think we all know that as a team. Like I said, got to turn the page and turn it into August, and we got 3 really good teams we're about to play again. So, we just got to cowboy up and play the right way.
Wonder if my man Millar should ask for some of the proceeds from that.
Bryce Harper's turned into like a cowboy ever since he went to Texas. He started wearing boots, and like all of a sudden he's all in. So
well, sense. let's get to the question at hand. On Thursday's show, we asked if the Dodgers were being pressed by the Padres and the Diamondbacks in the West. Shouldn't we be doing the same with the Braves and the Mets in the East?
I think we can say that. I think there's plenty of games left. There's still 7 games between these 2 teams left. They're all in this month of August. And because of that, Chris, I mean, the Phillies, they're struggling right now. And everyone on their team, we just talked about this on Talking Baseball. Everybody on their team is in a slump right now. Harper's in a slump. Trey Turner's in a slump. You can go down the list, and everyone is. Their starting pitchers haven't been great either. Like, it's all like at the same time. So if the Braves, if they continue that and the Braves kind of catch them at the right time and take 5 of 7 of those games, I mean, that makes it very close. And kind of the opposite has been the case for the Braves. I mean, Matt Olson is heating up. We've seen Orlando Arcia heat up. Even Austin Riley's getting going as well. Like, they're on the trajectory to go and erase some of these games. And I think at the beginning of the season, nobody really expected the Phillies to run away with this division. And obviously there's been injuries to the Braves that have, if you would have told us that prior to the season, we would have said, okay, like, that's temper expectations a little bit. But I don't think in any world we could say this isn't going to be a tight race by the end of the year. And I don't know what that means specifically. I don't know if that means it's going to come down to the last week and they're going to be separated by a game or a game and a half. I don't know if it gets there, but surely the Braves will press the Phillies. And I think it's going to happen as early as this month because of those games, the 7 games they play against each other.
So at the beginning of the year, I think we asked a question, will Philly, because I thought we felt like Philly was the closest competitor to Atlanta, be within like 5 games of Atlanta with 2 weeks to go. And I think I said, no, I think Atlanta's going to waltz. And then Atlanta loses Strider and they lose Acuna, and they weren't playing well, and particularly offensively. And I was like, man, this is laughable. And I think maybe a week or 10 days ago on this show, I said something to the effect of that there's only one great team in baseball, and it's the Phillies. And I remember some people were saying the Phillies aren't great. And I was thinking to myself, well, they're the closest thing we've got to great. And right now they're not playing that way. With all that being said, I still think that they end up being comfortably in front of both those teams, the Braves and the Mets. You have to throw the Mets in this conversation. My Mets in the conversation. I think with 2 weeks to go, I still think that they have at least a 5-game lead.
I guess what's pressing them? We have to define that. You know what I'm saying? Like, do they ever get within 3 games of the Phillies the rest of the season?
I don't think so.
To that, I say yes. I think they do.
I hope you're right. I like it when teams are forced to make decisions. Like, do we go for the 1 seed? Do we go for the bye? Do we just care about getting in the playoffs and making sure our pitching is okay and healthy? I like seeing how different teams handle those sort of situations.
Well, we'll see. Do you think they get within 3 games?
I don't. I am curious about this because Millar used to tell me all the time. He's like, when you're in a slump, like Bryce Harper's in a 1-for-30 slump, the worst of his career. When you're struggling like this, and he's just starting a 10-game road trip, Millar used to say, man, you'd stay up you'd be 3 a.m. in your hotel room, and you're in your underwear looking at the full-length mirror, and you put a pizza box down on the floor as home plate, and you're working on your stance trying to find the littlest thing. He said every major leaguer does it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever got naked and had a pizza box in my room and did that, but something like that, you're definitely diving into video. You're going back to a spring training game where you felt good and you're like, oh, let me go look. Is anything different? Like you're trying anything. You're you're calling your dad and saying, hey, can you look at my swing? Like what's going on here? Literally anything you can do to get out of it. And what's funny is sometimes doing nothing is probably the best thing for you when you're in a slump. When you go up there and say, hey, maybe today I'm not doing anything pregame and I'm not even going to look at the scouting report. I'm just going to go up there and see the ball. Like nobody has a recipe to get out of a slump. So you definitely try everything. In fact, sometimes it's best to try nothing.
Mhm. So when you stood in front of a full-length mirror in your hotel, it was strictly to say how good you looked.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, there's not a lot of full-length mirrors in hotel rooms these days, that are like at least easily accessible where you can swing a bat.
But you're a mirror guy. It's okay.
I'm really not a mirror guy. I mean, I like to look at a full-length mirror to check my outfit out real quick,
You
but
don't ever
I don't
you
do that.
talk to the mirror a little bit. You're like, looking good, Trev.
I really don't do that. I don't. I
You
gotta
know
do
what?
my hair. I've been using a blow dryer lately. That's helped me out a lot.
I always use a blow dryer. It's interesting.
I'm kind of like new to the game, Chris, to be honest with
Huh.
you.
What would
Yeah.
you do?
Use a towel and go like this.
Yeah, I do that too. But then you got to finish it off. You like the slick look a little bit, I guess.
I never finished it off. I would just figure it out. I don't know.
Okay. I never
Yeah.
really stood in front of a full-length mirror. I never had a good enough body to do it. So I would always be like, "Ugh, God, today's the day you're going to start running." And it never happened.
I think that's the best thing for people. If you feel like you don't want to stand in front of a mirror, stand in front of a mirror.
Yeah. Maybe I'll do that right afterward. Or maybe I'll do it
Okay.
when you're reading an ad or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Everybody seems these days you're on the go. Go, 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 go. The two of us, we have a lot of travel. It happens. And if you love coffee, sometimes you bring a portable coffee maker. But you know what? Stuff tastes like crap or doesn't travel well. Well, the only coffee maker that makes great travel coffee, it's AeroPress. And now they've introduced a complete travel system. It's their newest innovation, the AeroPress Go Plus. It's the first product that makes great tasting coffee using a brewing system that was designed for life on the go. It is a travel coffee revelation. So the AeroGo Plus finally allows everybody to go have great coffee while you're doing A and they're getting ready to go to B and then C. And all it does is take 2 minutes. And it's the first time that we, meaning the two of us, feel like we can have great coffee whenever we go, wherever we go, no matter what we're doing. Now, AeroPress coffee, it is the smoothest, it's almost velvety coffee you'll ever drink and even has full body finish. It's kind of like wine. AeroPress almost has no bitterness because the AeroPress uses air pressure to speed up the brew process and not over extract coffee. In fact, you can drink it without cream. And we've got an incredible offer for our audience on the go. Visit aeropress.com/today. That is AEROPRESS.com/today. Use that promo code. You're going to save 20% off your order. That is aeropress.com/today. Be sure to use the code today. Check it out. Save 20%. It's time to say goodbye to crappy coffee and yes, to better adventures fueled by better coffee. We want to thank AeroPress for sponsoring today's episode of Baseball Today. And I know that Plouffe likes it.
I use it all the time. I actually they sent me two. I used one and I gave one to one of my buddies who owns a coffee shop. And he's like, oh, I love AeroPress. Like he was very familiar with the company.
Well done. Well done. Lane Thomas, new acquisition by the Guardians, hit a pair of doubles in his home debut. They take care of the O's in the first of 4. And now Cleveland has the most wins in the big leagues on August 1st, make it second now, for the first time since 1999. We've both been a little skittish in saying, well,
No. One of us has been a little skittish.
One of us more so than the other has been a little skittish when talking about the best teams in the American League and putting Cleveland up there. When do we have to start considering the Guardians as a legitimate World Series contender?
I mean, obviously they put themselves into that talk. I mean, really months ago, Chris. I mean, I can understand why you and even me to a certain extent were questioning it a little bit. Is it going to, come back down to earth? The starting pitching woes. What seemed like a light lineup. Um, they needed offensive upgrades, all these things. So I understand it. But Chris, all they've done is won. Like all this team has done is won. Their worst month was in July. They went 13-12. Everything else, every other month has been above a 560 winning percentage. They win in blowout games. They win in one-run games. In extra innings, they're 7-2. They win at home. They win on the road. Like all this team does is freaking win. I didn't even know Jose Ramirez was having the type of year he's having. I guess I should have known. I believe he already has 30 homers and 90 RBIs. So he's getting the job done. I think he probably has 20 stolen bases as well because that's who he is. The addition of Lane Thomas is great. They needed some more offense out of their outfield. You mentioned the bullpen many times. They bring over Alex Cobb. We'll see how that goes for them. They've been able to withstand not having this great staff because of what the bullpen has done. I am questioning a little bit now. I believe I just saw that Tanner Bybee is not making a start tomorrow.
Right.
So that's interesting. But they've shown over the course of the year that it hasn't really mattered. So I think we have to consider them a legitimate threat because they've just shown it through how many games now? Through 106 games. You have to consider them a threat to win the World Series.
So I don't know if this is the Cleveland in me or not. It probably is.
It is the Cleveland in you.
Okay, I'll admit it is the Cleveland in me. I've told people this before with Clevelanders. If we miss the bus, we don't sit around and wait for the next bus. We peer around the corner and wait for the next bus to hit us. And that's just how we think, unfortunately. It's a bad way to go through life, but it's a little bit of how we go. By the way, Jose almost at 30 homers, 28 now, and he does have 20 steals. So he's got a shot at a 30-30 season.
Yes.
It'd be very nice for him. The starting pitching is alarming, and I think that's why the Alex Cobb trade is probably one of the most important ones that was made. Over the last 3 years, he's been great when he's been on the mound. Cleveland can't have a when he's been on the mound sort of feel right now. They don't have that in them. That's really,
he hasn't
really,
even pitched this year, right?
He has not pitched this year. Okay. His return has been pushed back. He's going to make one more rehab start, and then he's supposed to join them. But right now, if they had a playoff series tomorrow, for instance, and Alex Cobb was not available, I don't know who would start Game 3 for them. It might be Cookie Carrasco, that's rough go. But it's been Bybee, who we got to see how this shoulder thing works out. Ben Lively, who has been he has saved their season. He has been great for them. And then I have no idea. Like, they're going to have a hard time rounding out a rotation for this 4-game set against the Orioles. And that's why I think most people, including Clevelanders, can't say that we are a serious World Series contender. That's why.
Yeah, I was reading up on some stats for that, and hitters against their starters have like a WRC plus over like 110 or something like that. And like no team has made the World Series when teams have hit like that against their starters. So Stephen Vogt's gonna have to get creative, Chris. Like he's gonna have to figure out, maybe it's an opener type thing for them. Maybe they go that route in the playoffs. I don't know how many times have they done that a lot this year.
No, they don't do the opener thing. Like they'll give spots.
They might have to. They might have to, Chris. If they say, "Hey, we need our starters to go 2 times through the order, but we don't want them to see the top of the lineup 3 times. So let's have an opener. Let's do this. Let's use all these bullpen pieces that we have in a unique way." Because I agree with you. I mean, everyone's seen it. The starting pitching isn't there, but if you can get 4 and 5 innings,
that's it.
Quality innings, then that's all you need.
That is it. With that bullpen, and it has been far and away the best one in the major leagues. That's the thing. But they got to get the lead. And their offense hasn't been fantastic. We'll see what,
Gavin Williams not starting Game 3?
Oh, yeah. Gavin Williams would. My bad. He's back. And he's started to pitch a little bit better. That's who would start Game 3. Yep. Okay. Alex Cobb.
Did we make you feel better? I don't know.
Yes,
man.
I'll let you know at this time next week if we can get Bybee cleared. And okay.
I bet you that does happen. I bet you that they do make some adjustment. I bet you they do start using openers. maybe to get ready, and if they're thinking that's a possibility in the playoffs, we might see that in September at some point.
Okay. Lots of interesting and meaningful trades happened this week. Give me the guy who's going to have the biggest impact on his new team in the month of August.
I got a couple like auxiliary guys. Tommy Pham would be so fun if he just continues what he's done so far for St. Louis. He's already 6 for 10 with the grand slam. We saw that. I think Michael Kopech might be a guy for the Dodgers.
Struck out the side in his debut.
Struck out the side. Like, they need some bullpen help. Treinen is, gave some homers in that series against San Diego. So I think those two guys, I'm looking at them. But I have to say this guy because I saw it with my own eyes, what he brings to the table. I think it might be Jesse Winker. They plugged him right behind Pete Alonso, a little bit of protection for Pete. He looks great in a Mets uniform, and he only lengthens an already lengthy Mets lineup. So it is 1 through 9 tough out right there for the Mets. And what they've been doing, at least what they did against the Twins, is they had Jesse play for the first 6 innings, and they brought in Tyrone Taylor at the end as a defensive replacement. It just, talking to some of the guys, I went and talked to the Mets broadcasters about the season, and they were talking about how impactful they think he could be hitting behind Pete. So I saw it with my own eyes. I think I'm looking towards him to being that guy.
You know what's crazy about Winker? First of all, he's on his fifth team since 2021. Cincinnati, Seattle, Milwaukee, Washington, and now the Mets. And remember, he was an all-star starter.
Yes.
In 2021, I believe, with the Reds out in Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. Have you noticed the one thing, and I know that this is an organizational move, but the Nationals had everybody running. He's got 14 steals this year. He had 3 in his career before this season. 3.
He looks good, man. He looks athletic and healthy, and
yeah.
I just like the addition to him to that lineup.
Yeah. It's been good. It's been good. Lucas Erceg, I thought, was a really good pickup for the Royals. You and I both liked the Royals trade deadline pickups. They got a couple of arms in the bullpen. They picked up Michael Lorenzen for the back side of their rotation, which has already been very good. Erceg's a guy it was Miller and Erceg that you were talking about the first 6 weeks of the year out in Oakland. Like, who is this Erceg guy? He's 28 years old. He just kind of bounced on the scene now. Fastball, high 90s. I think people are hitting 067 against his slider or something like that, I read the other day. So this is a guy who hasn't been as good the last 2 months as he was the first 2 months of the season, but new place. That's where the Royals needed the most help on their team, was the bullpen. I thought they made 2 good moves to solidify things back there. And I think the Royals are a serious, serious playoff contender.
They're scary right now. They're terrifying me, Chris, because I don't know. I really don't see a world where 3 AL Central teams make the playoffs. I know that's where it stands right now. It's scary to me to see what the Royals have been doing and what Bobby Witt's been doing. And you mentioned the additions.
His month of July was certifiably insane. Programming note, talked to Vinny Pasquantino today for the Rose rotation. We welcome him back into the stable for the first time this year. He was great. And I said, what is it that Bobby Witt's doing different? So he kind of gave us a little breakdown on what he thinks, because he sees it from the on-deck circle.
Sure.
Nobody sees it better in baseball than Vinny Pasquantino. So we talk about that a lot. That'll be coming out Monday. He was great as always. Hilarious. One other note, by the way, I want to go backward for the Guardians-Orioles series. Kobe Mayo is getting the call-up.
Yes.
Interesting what the Orioles are doing with their roster, man. The guys
they had to bring him up. I mean, Westberg breaks his arm or his hand.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like a logical stick him at third base and see what he can do.
Yeah, let him go for it. No question. All right, today's episode of Baseball Today is brought to you by Fanatics Fest. I want you to listen to this. Fanatics Fest is going to be the largest collection of athletes, leagues, teams, collectibles, memorabilia that the world has ever seen. If you're familiar with Comic-Con, think of it as that, except for the sports world. It's going to be a 3-day event in the middle of this month in New York City. There's going to be Hall of Fame athletes, Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, Peyton and Eli Manning, and many, many more. There's going to be panels. There's going to be special live show recordings, including us. Yeah, John Boy Media, we got a booth as well. We're going to be doing a special edition JM Baseball Show live from the center stage. That's going to be on Friday, August 16th in the middle of the afternoon. We'll have more details available on our social media channels. We're also going to have our very own booth set up all weekend long, warehouse game stations, trivia, and much more. It's going to be the ultimate destination for collectors, for sports fans, everybody plugged into pop culture. So what you need to do is head on over to fanaticsfest.com to grab your tickets. If you do that and you use the code JOHNBOY20, you're going to get 20% off of your ducats. That is fanaticsfest.com. Use the code JOHNBOY20. We will see you there Friday, August 16th through Sunday the 18th. It is going to be a blast. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Speaking of the warehouse games, something different happened on Thursday at the warehouse. We need to make sure that those people all made it out alive because they played the first to 100. It was Jimmy, Jake, and Joe's against Jack Doyle, Zoe, and Shelfie. And yes, after nearly 9 hours of play, look who became the hero.
It's over! Joe's big fly ends it! Turn out the lights in the warehouse because we're all going home!
Justin Pennick should have added the word finally, but it was a great call by Pennick. I mean, I can't imagine. Holy smokes. 9 hours of action?
We have those days in the warehouse, when we're filming for Blitzball or Floorball, whatever it is. They're long days, but 9 hours straight of playing on the cement with the warehouse, dust that's going around. Your question is, how long would I have asked off after playing in something like that? It would have been a while. I would have been done. Jake built a little different. I did talking baseball with him this morning already.
Was he in the office?
He looked great. Yeah, he looked great.
No
Gotta tip
way.
the cap to Jake, man.
That's impressive.
Yes.
I mean, like I asked, so Rob Scirocco is our producer for Rose Rotation. He was one of the camera people, and thankfully they kind of built him in shifts. They didn't have to do, I guess, all 9 hours or whatever. Maybe somebody did, but Rob didn't. And I said, when did the guys eat? He said, well, they were just having sandwiches kind of when they could, if they weren't hitting or whatever. I was like, man.
It's a long time, Chris.
What if you have to poop?
They probably pooped.
They pull a Lamar Jackson?
We do have bathrooms at the
I know we have nice bathrooms there now.
Well, I don't know about nice.
The one on the second floor is nice.
It's okay.
Doable. I don't think I've pooped there. I'm kind of like
I have for sure.
I'm sure you have. I'm a little bit like the guy from American Pie who who up with Stifler's mom. Like I don't want to poop at work if I can. Not that one.
What's his name?
Yeah, I forget what his name was. He ate the X-Lax brownies. Remember
You are like him.
Wow. I am like
he's
him.
a smart guy, successful guy.
Yeah. Good. Go see that. If you're young and you hadn't seen American Pie, go.
Oh yeah, you'll love it.
The first one is great. Tap out after the first one, but the first one is well worth it. All right, go get your tickets for Fanatics Fest. It's coming your way. 2 weeks from today, we're going to be there, which is amazing. All right, everybody have a good sporting weekend. We are back at it on Monday for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, our awesome intern, Tommy Young. That is the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose. We will see you Monday here on Baseball Today.